Oh, here we go. Well, I'm pleased to be joined by John Gaddini, Safety Director for Ryan Companies, which is based right here in Minneapolis. And we're going to talk a little bit about an important workforce safety initiative here related to combating drug overdoses on construction sites, a very important and timely topic here, especially since it's Construction Safety Week. But John, first of all, thank you for joining us today. And John, I wonder if you could start by, before we get into the topic at hand, just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background in construction and workplace safety, and how long you've been with Ryan Companies.
Okay. Well, been in the construction industry about 30 years. Started off my career. I started at Minnesota OSHA, worked there about 8 years. I was a compliance officer, and then from compliance side, I went over the consultations side. I spent about 5 years in the consultation side before I started working for Ryan Companies in the Twin Cities here, and I've been here for about 19 years. So been around and worked in the industry, going through college and so forth, working for a small GC, as a laborer, so building homes, doing concrete work and so forth while I was going to school. So got involved in the construction industry through that, and then ended up doing an internship with a general contractor that in my hometown while I was going to school, and I got in the general industry side, and then got hired, graduated college, and got hired by the state of Minnesota.
Okay, great. When you look the part there with your safety vest and the safety signs in the background, and so it's good to talk to you, John. Anyway, I wonder if we could just, first of all, before we get into the specific initiative that Ryan's involved in, I wonder if you could just talk a little bit about the problem of overdoses on construction sites. It's Ryan mentioned in a press release that the construction industry has experienced the highest death rate attributed to drug overdoses. Can you talk a little bit more about that and why the construction industry has this unfortunate distinction?
Yeah, well, we, as you mentioned, it was in the news release. Yes, the construction industry has a higher rate of overdoses due to some of the injuries that had occurred. We have, you look at soft tissue injuries, back injuries, also looking at rotator cuffs, things like that are nagging injuries, and these back injuries and so forth. And part of these soft tissue injuries, they prescribe, opioids, and people start getting addicted to them, even in short periods of time, and that's kind of been a norm in the industry itself. And as an industry as a whole, we're not that big. We don't make the construction industry does not make up maybe 7 to 10% of the workforce. However, some of the work that we do is really strenuous, and so we'll have these injuries and so forth. And like I said, we'll have reoccurring. People want to get back to work, right? And so they want to feel better. And if they have a soft tissue injury, or even say it's an injury, they broke a bone and so forth, and they're prescribed something to make them feel better so they can get back to work sooner. And then all of a sudden, where you get addicted to it, and it's hard to get off of it. But even us in the construction industry, talking about what resources we have out there, and we're educating people more and more on that every day. As you start work, we're doing a lot of different things. You can see in the industry itself, we still have the construction industry has a high rate of suicide too, out of any other trade that's, or any other workforce company, or any type of, if you're doing your career, you look at a lot how high it is. And if you look at the stats that what we looked at, I mean, we look at falls being a leading cause of fatalities in construction. It's not. It's suicide, and there's a lot of factors that go a part of that. And I'm not going to get into every single factor, but people, we have transient workforces. They travel. You have a lot of being away from home, or if you get injured or so forth, that you get addicted to things, and then you have a lot more financial issues too. As if you worked in the industry, jobs are not, you get finish a job, you're looking for the next job. It's not always a job to go to every day like a regular job. So there's a lot of stress to deal with. And I think you look at some of the things that we're doing too as a company, we're providing the tools too. We're providing the education. If you see some of our what we have for our in our company as a whole for mental health and our wellness and what we actually offering our employees at Ryan companies, and our trades people, either through the union or through their own companies, where what we can get for the resources for them. And we've kind of pointed that out a lot. I mean, even we'll talk about a little bit about, the initiative that we went, what we're doing right now, for, to protect people on job site and prevent something from happening. But I mean, all in all, I mean, if you look at the industry as a whole, there's a lot of factors that go in effect to why we're doing this and why we want to be proactive.
And talk a little bit about this specific initiative, if you don't mind, with the SAFE project. First of all, what can you introduce us to what the SAFE project is and how Ryan became involved in this, and then maybe talk about some of the specific things you're
Sure.
doing as part of this initiative?
So earlier this year that went to a seminar that was put together by Holmes Murphy, our insurance company, and it was their second annual suicide awareness in construction. And so Brian Murray, our CEO, was one of the speakers there. He actually was the opening speaker for the seminar. Anyway, so there was a person there named Jeff Horowitz, which with the SAFE project, and he started talking about the construction industry and how opioids is affecting the industry itself, and also talked about fentanyl and so forth too, and what we could do for how we could prevent this, alternative measures for when someone gets hurt on that goes through for painkillers and so forth, that there's over-the-counter medicines and so forth that can be prescribed instead of an opioid, and other types of therapies we could do too, and instead of issuing out a narcotic like that. And then also he brought up too what was about Narcan. And so if naloxone zone, how it works and so forth, and how effective it is, and how easy it is to work, to use it, and how we can prevent a death, in the industry. Now, as a company, have we seen it? No, we've never had a drug overdose on any of our projects. But we look as, safety being one of our core values at Ryan Companies, is that where can we make a difference? And even if we have, we have all the other things we have in place for when we have a crisis on a job site, right? We have first aid kits, we have AEDs, people are trained in first aid CPR. And what other things do we need to have in our toolbox, right? So they have Narcan available on a job site to possibly, bring somebody out who's in a drug overdose. Just to have that there just in case. And it's a great tool to have, or to have as part of, to save a person's life. And it might not even be on the job site. It might be someone adjacent to the job site, or whatever it is, that we could possibly provide that life-saving medicine for someone.
And I understand that there's a goal, or the idea is to distribute this potentially life-saving pharmaceutical to 1,000 sites.
Yeah, so right now we got about 100 plus construction sites, and then we have 16 offices. So every one of our job sites will get um, will get a will get Narcan put into their first aid kits. Every one of our offices will too. So of our 16 offices nationwide, we will provide that. In addition to, as part of our pledge that we made, part of the with President Biden's pledge that they have right now, the commitment that we're one of the few construction companies in the nation doing this, providing it on every one of our job sites and in our first aid kits. And in addition to that, we are going to offer training. There would be mandatory training for our field staff, and that would be provided either via training video, in-person training, and we're going to roll this out within the next 3 months. So by the end of summer, We're looking to have the Narcan purchased, available in every first aid kit that we have on our job sites, small or big, they're going to have it. Um, and then also in our offices, and then have it out in the field, like I said, by the end of August. That's what our goal is.
Okay. And you alluded to this is the White House Challenge to Save Lives from Overdose.
Mhm. Yes.
Tied in
Yes.
with that.
Yeah, that was the one we actually pledged that we would do this. We came out with a news, if you've seen the release that we had,
Mhm.
that was sent out, and from Brian Murray, our CEO of the company, and it's led by Brian Murray. It's coming from our upper management, the CEO, and we're gonna roll this out in all, I mean, nationwide. It's the right thing to do, and I
Mhm.
think for us as a industry, I think everybody should look at purchasing it, training their personnel, and so we can have a life-saving um, um, tool that we can have to use for anybody that's on the job site. So if we run into it, hopefully we never have to.
Yeah.
I hope we never have to use it, but at least we know it's there.
So you mentioned that fortunately you haven't had any of these incidents on your job sites at Ryan, but not without, you don't have to necessarily name names, but are you aware of any other incidents on other job sites here in the Twin Cities or in Minnesota?
No, I do not. I haven't heard anything. I think we're just being proactive and taking the initiative of it. And I think you could see some of the drug overdoses in the last year, the stats, with 111,000 people dying from drug overdoses. And if you look at some of the stats, I think two-thirds of them are just from opioids and fentanyl of the 111,000 fatalities. So
Mhm.
it's out there. People are using, prescription drugs or fentanyl, and you could see in part of the initiative with President Biden and their team is, to see if we can make a difference and get the education out, have Narcan available, um, everywhere you go, pretty much. I mean,
Mhm. How closely does the industry measure these types of incidents?
they
Uh,
they they do a pretty good job, and the CDC does, and if you look at some of the research on that, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, CWPR, the Centers to Protect Workers' Rights, is really up on this. If you ever want to get some research on it, they do a good job.
mhm.
So we've got stats from them in the past, and that's where we're focusing on right now.
Okay. John, do you have anything else to add about this or any other safety initiatives you're working on since it is Construction Safety Week? Anything else you care
Yeah,
to talk about?
yeah, we're talking about the OSHA stand down to prevent falls in construction. Falls are, like I said, are one of the leading causes of fatalities. Still, we know what I'd already mentioned before about the suicide rate in construction
Mhm.
itself per 100,000 people. It's like 53.7%. And we've had more fatalities than that, but last year, but we're trying to eliminate the fall hazards in construction and preventing them. We're doing that. We're doing stand downs all over in all of our job sites and all of our regions and all of our job sites. We're bringing that up as for this week too, in addition to talking about opioid use and the use of Narcan and what was going to be available and how to prevent something like this.
Great. Well, John, congrats to you and your colleagues there at Ryan for working on this important initiative. Any final thoughts before I let you go?
No, but I think one thing is, if construction companies, take note, let's all make an effort to implement this and on your job sites throughout the nation.
Absolutely. Well, good
And if
luck with
they
that, John. Yep.
and if you have any questions, they can actually get a hold of me. I'm good,
Mhm.
and how we're doing this and so forth with the
Mhm.
White House Challenge and how we can all make an effort and make a difference in the construction industry.
Sounds great. And they can just find your information through the website or
Yeah. Yes, yes, they can, and no problem.
okay. Well, thank you, John, for your time, and good luck with this. It's been good chatting with you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your time, Brian. Thank you. Have a good day.
Take care. You too.
Yep.